I'm Dave Watt, and I am the builder of both engines. Well, it all started in the early 70s when I was looking for a locomotive to build and didn't really know what type to build. Anyway, 3 criteria had to be met. One, that it was New Zealand designed and built, a tank engine, and one that no one else had built. After looking through picture books and so on, I settled on the WF. So over the next 2.5–3 years, I built a WF in 3.5-inch gauge, and that ran for a number of years, till 1980 mainly, and then I went to sea. And for the next 15 or so years, I did nothing with model engineering, although I was buying tools and equipment overseas and either bringing it back myself or having it shipped home. Then in '94 was deciding what engine to build. So I thought, well, why not build another WF? I was getting ready to do this, and a friend approached me and asked if I could build him a WF. So I thought, well, no, it shouldn't be that much extra work. He could supply materials, get castings done and other bits and pieces. So I started making the 2, but soon realised that this plan was not workable. So to cut a long story short, I bought him out and continued building both engines. So over the years I worked away on this, but after a couple of years work stopped as I moved from Auckland to Rotorua and had to build a workshop and got married and so on. So work stopped there for about 2 years, then started again and got all the running gear done, smoke box, and then I'll be going back to sea and coming home and do a bit more work on the engines. Then the boiler work started. There was about 18 months involved in that. Got both boilers done, and then just bit by bit, up to about the end of 2007, I got the locomotives to a point where they were just runnable, but I was just concentrating on getting one engine runnable for the 2008 convention, and the other one I just left it aside and just mainly worked on the first engine, but made bits for the second engine at the same time, but didn't put them on the engine itself. The first engine complete up to running stage. I then started building all the auxiliaries. The first items were the vacuum brakes. They were fitted, the ejector and so on. Then headlight and tail light. Then started with the compressors. So I said, well, I'll make more than I need. So I ended up building 5, which was spread over about 20 months. And 1 was fitted on each engine. After the compressors, the generators were made. I made 4 of those. They were fitted to the engines. Then the governor valves were made. That was really the last, you could call major item, small as it is, that was made. Still just one engine running. Ran that for a few years. Eventually decided I should get the other engine completed for the Nelson Convention. So that was all started a few months ago, making a few small bits. And then just in the last couple of months, I really stepped on it to get it ready in time, and did some repainting on both engines actually. While the painting was being done, a few bits and pieces were attended to on both engines. Then finally, just 2 days ago, I had the second engine ready to run and steamed her for the first time. There were a few leaks to sort out and a few little niggles and teething troubles to sort out, but only small ones, and generally the test went very well. Safety valves were set too, of course. Everything was tested, although the air compressor wouldn't start. Anyway, I found out the problem there. The shuttle valve was made a bit tight of a fit in the housing, so I've eased that a little, and we'll try that out soon to see if it will work okay. I tried it again on air, and it's it was working. The first engine, when it was first steamed, it was steamed exactly 100 years to the day that a prototype was put into service, and I had intended to give it that number. I cannot remember what it was now. However, on thinking a bit, rethinking all this, decided, well, why not give them numbers which were not actually issued to steam engines. So there was a group of numbers which from memory was 788 to 899 that were never issued by the New Zealand Railways. So I took two of those numbers, 870 and 871. The engine I have with me is 871. They have been made for the New Zealand miniature railways, not the government railways. So therefore it gives me a little bit of license. People can't criticise if there's a prototypical error, or if I had chosen a particular number that something had been left out or put on that the prototype never had. So those were the reasons for choosing these two numbers. So we're about to light up the engine that's here and give her the first run on the track. We'll see how we go. Once the locomotive's in the steaming bay, we should put the parking brake on. First and foremost is to fill the boiler. It was rule number one. Fill the boiler. This has already been done and the tanks have been filled too. So I'm just going to add a wee bit of treatment here, just a small amount. That'll do. The boiler has been filled to the top of the glasses and even slightly beyond. To me this is a good idea to have a little more water than we'd normally have while running. Gives you a bit of a head start if there's any problems with injectors and so on. And the safety valves may blow and quite a lot of water can be lost there. Plus driving the blower, and put plenty of wood in. This wood's been soaked in diesel. I've stuck a bit of plastic electrical tape on the back of the cab there to protect it, so no paint gets knocked off between now and the Nelson Convention, because this is the engine I will take there. So take a fire lighter and just set it on the shovel ready. Then we'll put the blower, or more correctly the draft inducing fan, on the stack to create our draft. And get connected to the local power supply. Switch it on, it's running. Right, and into the firebox. Then a little bit of coal to just start that burning. Another little job to finish making the other shovel. And while raising steam, we can do some oiling up of the running gear. The bearings in the rods are supposed to be able to run without oil, so they don't get oiled much at all. This coal, I think, is Giles Creek. It's just some that I had in a box at home that it's been dug out of the bunker while removing all the fines. Just tighten up the gland followers a little, because the packy will have compressed a bit after the first steaming 2 days ago. As soon as steam is raised, I like to start warming through, otherwise the piston valves stick, and they're sticking a bit now. This, like being a new engine, put the lubricator on now. This being a displacement type. Pressure might be too high for that. Right, you picked up. Yeah. We're reluctant, we give it a ticket. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but a good day for a day, I'll post it to you.
You ran all right on air.
I think there was, there's a couple of cuttings.
It's probably the shuttle valve again that's got stuck. I need to remake one of the rings a little bit thinner. Works fine on air, but it doesn't seem to like working on steam at the moment.
Oh, well, yeah.
Keep the lights down. Yeah.
This will gently warm us through.
Ooh, listen to that. Yeah.
It powers both the headlight and the tail light and the gauge glass lights. The 2 gauge glass lights.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably put her on the track now and take her for a spin. Well, we finished running for the day. It's time to put her away, to drop the fire, blow down the boiler, give her a clean up and put her in the back of my vehicle. So first of all we'll shut the lubricator off. Okay, that's off. Now we'll drop the fire. Sometimes it's a bit tricky on this one. Well, other times it goes well. Sometimes it goes well, other times it doesn't. Anyway, we'll dump the ashes out. All the little like wheelbarrows for catching the ashes have been put away, so we'll just place them on the ground. Try and wriggle out the forward grate. Right, that one came out easily enough. Alright, now we'll go for the forward one. Just put that up in front of the engine so that they don't get left behind by mistake. And the forward grate's out. The next job is to just jiggle the arch and just shift it out of position, or try to tip it up to remove any coal or so on that's sitting on top of it. There wasn't much there at all. Okay. So we'll close the ash pan doors. Now we're ready to blow down the boiler, and the blow down valve's just slightly aft of the centre drivers. At the same time I'll drain the tank. While she's blowing down and the tanks are emptying, we'll just give her a quick wipe over. She's quite clean actually. And she's cleaner than I thought she'd be. And I'll worry about the smoke box when I get home. Push her onto the traverser. Oh, the grates. Securing bolt in place. Everything nice and tight. And the last job, put the handbrake on. And remove any loose items from the locomotive and put them in the box. Last job, pick up the grate, which have cooled sufficiently. And she can stay there. So, her first run on the track today, I was generally pleased with her performance. There's a few little niggles to sort out. One is the air compressor. The shuttle valve is sticking there. There's a problem with the left side expansion link die block pin that looks like it's broken, and I should have a spare. That should only be a 10-minute job to replace. That's about it. Really, I shall get those attended to in the near future.